It's mock draft time, everybody. What's going on? Adam Azer here with Jamie Eisenberg, Heath Cummings, Dave Richard, and from Football Guys, it's Joey Wright, our special guest on this Wednesday morning. We've got a 12-team half PPR mock draft. So we did a PPR mock draft last week. Now we're doing half PPR. That is where catches count for half a point. And we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Joey, welcome to the show. Tell us about your gig at Football Guys.
Yeah, I'm the community ambassador of Football Guys. Run the Discord, do social media. I do a lot of things. They just gave me a title just so that they can tell me to do whatever they want. And it's like, yeah, we gave him a title. He's fine. I'm really excited to be here. I was so excited. I called my friend Scott Fish last night. I said, Scott, you're never going to believe it. CBS finally called me to come on. And he goes, Joey, that's great. They actually asked me earlier, and I was busy. So, excuse me. It's good to be here, but second best isn't so bad.
It is true. We did ask Scott Fish to come on. He said no.
We wanted both of you.
Yeah, we did want. Well, yeah, we did. Well, and I was gonna kick Dave off because I thought 5 was too many, but Dave was like, "No, I am not letting that Joey Wright guy kick me off the show." Basically, what happened. Anyway, Dan Schneier hasn't shown up for the draft, so we're waiting for him. Heath took Christian McCaffrey with the first pick. Jamie, tell us about the draft, the format, and the positions, and all that stuff.
Well, I think you already did. It's half PPR. So it's our usual format where it's 6 points for passing touchdowns. 6 points for all touchdowns. And it's one quarterback league. Start 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a flex. No defense, 1 tight end. No tight end premium. Usual.
Okay. 3 receivers is the most important thing. Heath, you know what? Since we're pausing the draft, maybe we should talk about what we were going to talk about. Carries, running back volume, and what it means for fantasy production. You want to get into this now?
Yeah. I had shared a tweet with you, and really, I will give credit to whoever it was on Twitter that made a YPC for life joke was the reason that I sent it to you. But it was from Ryan Heath, and I think we shared one of these tweets on the show earlier this offseason about wide receivers, about what things from this year are most predictive of what's going to happen next year.
Right.
And
yes, we did, yeah.
Of course, at the very top of the list is how many fantasy points they scored this year is the most predictive thing of what's going to happen next year. But after that was weighted opportunities, which is something that Ryan's developed that has to do with, weighting goal line carries, red zone carries, catches, targets higher than carries between the 20s. The old Ben Gretsch, what was it called?
Trap back.
So the opposite of that. And that was the second most predictive thing. And towards the very bottom of the list in terms of things that are predictive for next year was yards per carry, but also missed tackles forced, some of those advanced stats that we really like. And I just think it's an interesting discussion because we sure want to talk about those things, but as far as how efficient a guy was or how good they were at avoiding contact. But when it comes to predicting what a guy is going to do next year, unless we have some reason to think the roles changed, the most predictive thing is how many fantasy points they scored. The second most predictive thing is how many high value touches they got.
And this was something you wanted to talk about in regards to Devon Achane specifically.
I thought the interesting comparison, because it's 2 guys who could get drafted very close to each other, was Devon Achane and Rachaad White. White obviously had a spectacular role, and we've talked plenty on this show about his terrible yards per carry and efficiency. Achane really only saw double-digit carries in games that the Dolphins won by 20 plus points, but was one of the most efficient rookie running backs ever.
Mm-hmm. And Rachaad White had only 8 carries inside the 5-yard line, but that was 2/3 of his team's carries inside the 5. Only guys who had a higher percentage of his team's carries inside the 5-yard line last year were, 3 of them are on different teams. How about that? Barkley, Mixon, Walker, Derrick Henry, and Raheem Mostert. So Rachaad White right there is like the clear, if a running back was getting the ball inside the 5-yard line, it was, anywhere really. It was Rachaad White for the Buccaneers. He just didn't get that many carries. I don't know. Are we going here, Jamie? We're still waiting.
I'll give it another minute.
Okay. It's an interesting discussion, right? Is how much does it matter? I did go back after you shared this with me. I went back over the last 5 years and I looked for running backs that didn't really get that many touches, but finished in the top 12. And I excluded guys like Kamara and Eckler, right? Because it's obvious. If you get 80 plus catches, then you don't need that many touches in half PPR and full PPR. So who are the guys who really didn't get that many touches? I was thinking like 13 to 15 per game, if it were a 16 or a 17 game season. And there were about 2 per year who finished top 12. But most of them were RB 10, 11, 12, something like that, with the 3 main exceptions. So these are guys who didn't have a lot of touches, and didn't have a lot of catches, didn't have more than maybe 60 or 50 or 60 catches. In some cases, way less than that. But had really, really strong seasons. That was Mark Ingram, 2019, Raheem Mostert last year, and Tony Pollard, I think 2 years ago.
Touchdowns?
So 2 of those guys had 18 or more no, I'm sorry, not Ingram. James Conner. James Conner a few years ago when he had 18 touchdowns. Ingram was like RB 10. He did have a good year, but it wasn't like a standout year. So you do need a lot of basically, you need a lot of catches or a lot of touchdowns if you're going to have a true standout year without a lot of touches. Talking maybe like 14 touches per game. But if you want to just be like RB 10, that could happen. That happens, a decent amount, actually. That's what I say.
I will say that I may have butchered some of that section, but thankfully Ryan's going to be on FFT Dynasty next Thursday evening, and he can say it better than I did.
All right.
Fun fact, I lost to Mark Ingram's son in T-ball last night.
Oh, no.
You did or your kids did?
Upset loss.
Well, it feels like I did.
Yeah. You were coaching, right?
I was coaching, yeah.
That's
You took the L.
Oh, I definitely took the L.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't on the field. His son made some incredible plays. He's a really good athlete.
It would have been more embarrassing if you would have been on the field and he would have beat you.
I would expect that to happen.
But I know Mark many years from the place where he trained, and yeah, it was fun seeing him before the game.
That's awesome.
Joey, what pick do you have, by the way, Joey?
I have the 6th pick.
Okay, give me your top 4 running backs or wide receivers. Rank your top 4 wide receivers.
So wide receivers: Lamb, Chase, Hill, and Jefferson. Even though my heart says someone else that I have at 5, but
St. Brown.
It's St. Brown. Yeah, I love me some Lions. So.
All right. Oh, hey, I'm on the
beating
clock.
that drum.
All right. So the first 3 picks we are going here: CeeDee Lamb. Oh no, sorry, I went the opposite order. Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb. Nope. Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb. There we go. Okay, so it's up to me, and I'm going to go with Breece
Reading
Hall.
is fundamental.
Yeah, Breece Hall for me in a half PPR league. Full PPR, probably going wide receiver there, especially with the 3 receiver lineup, but I will go with Breece Hall, which puts RJ on the clock. And we've got Nada producing today. Funny story about Nada. So Nada is doing if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/fantasyfootball today, he's doing the spreadsheet. So be patient. He's never done this before. He's entering the names. So, we appreciate it. The rookies, he's going to have to manually input and color code and all that. So give him a break. But also he and I are sharing a team so we can have access to the draft, even though I'm doing the picks. But when he accepted the invite, he changed our team name to Nada, which I thought was a pretty bold move there.
Yeah.
Pretty bold move. I changed it back. Anyway, what do you guys, Dave, what do you think of that Breece Hall pick? So McCaffrey won. We're going to see that a lot. Then Hill, then Lamb, and then I took Hall. Should I have taken a wide receiver?
No, I don't think you had to because it's half PPR, but I think that he might be the most polarizing first rounder based on the comments that we get on YouTube, on social media about our mock drafts. And people are just not sold on Breece Hall being a first round pick. And so we might need to start justifying why he was taken in round 1. And that's why I would ask you, Adam, why'd you take him in round 1?
Breece Hall?
That's the thing is why is it a weird thing to take Breece Hall in round 1, but Bijan's just normal?
Yeah. Someone's asking what's the rationale of Breece over Bijan? I mean, what's the rationale of Bijan over Breece? To me, it's like Breece Hall is amazing. He came off a torn ACL and averaged like 20 points per game last year. The offense is only going to get better. I think we'll have more touchdown opportunities, maybe fewer catches, but the guy's been a stud. So I'm totally comfortable with it. He's an every down back. He's not coming off the field significantly for any of the other guys on the team. And I think the Jets are going to be good. So I got no issue with him there.
The only issue I have with the pick is the position because of what I think we're going to see in round 2. And I know obviously PPR versus half PPR, but you have the ability to probably get a running back in round 2. That's not going to be Breece Hall, obviously. But the receivers that are going to be available to you, if you decide to go running back receiver, are not going to be the type of players that you're looking for as you would have gotten at pick 4.
And that comes into play for me later in the round when I don't love a guy like Breece Hall, who I think could be the most valuable player in fantasy. But early, I'm not really thinking about my second round pick. I mean,
again, we've done enough of these drafts now to know that you could be sitting there with Jefferson and let's say Rachaad White, James Cook, those type of guys. If you don't love it, that's fine.
Yeah, that doesn't quite do it for me.
But Breece Hall and Chris Olave makes you happy?
No, I mean, I'm not gonna like the guy. I'm probably not gonna like the guy I get at the end of round 2, no matter what. Or, well, not quite the end, like 21st overall.
Yeah, no, I get it. It comes down to what you're looking for.
Was Hall. All right, after that, Jefferson. Joey took Jamar Chase. Zach took Bijan Robinson. So that's 3 receivers, 4 running backs in our first 7 picks. Then Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, 10th overall. After Taylor, it was Jahmyr Gibbs and then Garrett Wilson. So I think that's even 7 receivers, 5 running backs in the first round. Round 2. Let's see. Sorry. Round 2 was Saquon Barkley. So Jay Balk is drafting with us. He has the 12th pick. He is a listener who wanted to get in a draft. He's a dedicated listener.
Nice.
And he is in today. So he's got Wilson and Barkley. Little northeast flair there. DJ Moore going 14th overall. That's not something we would do at this point. That was Brandon who took him. We think he's more of a 3rd round pick. Then Puka Nacua. Boy, he really fell, huh? How about Joel's start? Jonathan Taylor and Puka Nacua. That's
awesome.
pretty good.
It's a good start.
Good.
All right, Joey. Marvin Harrison Jr. was the 16th pick in the draft. Would you have taken him there? If you had the 16th pick, would you have taken Marvin Harrison there right after Puka?
I would have actually taken him before Puka. I like his situation a lot more in Arizona. With Zach Robinson moving over to the Falcons, I'm not down on Puka by any means, but the potential that Harrison has just moves him 1 spot ahead of Puka for me in redraft. It's bold, but I just do like him a little bit more.
Okay, and then we had, after Marvin Harrison, Kyron Williams. So, Dave, he went kind of like used to be a 1st round pick. You got him in the middle of the 2nd round. Go to you in 1 second, Dave. Chris Olave, Drake London to Joey, Travis Etienne, and I'm on the clock. While I make my pick, Dave, are you pumped to get Kyron Williams 17th?
I was okay with it. I thought he was the best running back that was left on the board in round 2. And I had designs on taking a running back in round 2 after I took a receiver in round 1. I'm going to put Blake Corum on my want list now because I want to make sure I lock up that Rams backfield. But I think that Kyron Williams can be clearly just as good as he was last year. Maybe not as good, but 85% as good as he was last year? That's been always a great spot, that running back spot in LA with the Rams, with Sean McVay. It's been good for fantasy more often than not. So I want a piece of that. I have to pay the round 2 price for Kyron Williams. A month ago, 3 weeks ago, it was a round 1 price. So I feel like there's a little bit of a dip there. I don't mind it with Kyron.
Gosh, round 2 sucks. The last half of round 2, it just sucks.
If you feel that way about fantasy drafts, then you're not going to like drafting this year.
I mean, like, we need to see the quarterbacks go in here so we can get some better value. I know we're not going to take the quarterbacks, but I took Devontae Adams. I was going to take ETN. Then I took Devontae Adams. So ETN went to pick before me. Jamie took Pacheco. Dan took Josh Jacobs. Heath, do these feel like good round 2 picks? You're on the clock with back-to-back picks.
They are, and I kind of knew this when I took McCaffrey, that there was a very good chance this happened. I didn't think it would be James Cook and Rachaad White. I'm starting running back. A half PPR league's basically a 3 running back league anyway.
You're going 3 running backs. Wow. Okay, McCaffrey, James Cook, Rachaad White. That's what you're going with?
And I think that's probably 3 top 12 running backs.
It is for you.
Yeah, They never work out. Right?
What never works out?
Running back never works out. Running back. That's insanity. Maybe two of them will work out.
I wouldn't say it never works out.
When one of them is Christian McCaffrey, it's got a pretty good chance of working out.
Actually, that's what I found when I went back and I looked at our RBRB teams from the leagues that we share. There weren't that many to begin with. There weren't that many that were good, but the ones that were good typically had Christian McCaffrey on them. So you're good. All right, that's an interesting start. Dan has Tyreek Hill and Josh Jacobs. Jamie, who are the players? You're on deck. Who are some of the best players available that you're looking at? Oh, you're up. He took Derrick Henry. What are you thinking?
Probably Mike Evans here, even though I love it.
What about a tight end? Are
Or
we
Pittman.
at that point where you about taking Laporta or Kelsey?
No. Yeah, maybe try something different.
Okay. Totally cool. Just wondering.
Okay. So Jamie is on the clock. I'll be drafting next. The best running backs available at this point are Kamara, Mixon, Walker, Montgomery. Probably the only ones that have a chance of going in this range. Joey, how are you feeling about Alvin Kamara this year?
I think this might be the last year that I'm drafting him. I don't think Kendra Miller is going to move ahead of him this year. So I think he's going to catch balls out of the backfield. He's going to be what he's been in the past if he can stay on the field. So I'm fine drafting him as my RB2. I think he's gone from RB1 territory on your teams. Unless you go 3 receivers to start your draft. Then sure, put him as RB1.
All right, Jamie took Mike Evans. I'm on the clock with Breece Hall and Devontae Adams. I'm going to make a kind of a weird-ish, I don't know. Deebo Samuel. Is that a weird pick?
No.
Nope.
Good pick.
He's not, to me, he's not as exciting as like Nico Collins, who I thought
I don't know how that's possible to say.
I don't even, because go look at Deebo's game logs when everyone's healthy. There are like a lot of 45-yard games. It does seem to happen.
Weren't there some 45-yard games for Nico Collins when everybody was healthy last year?
Oh, no, none. No, he was like 100 every week. No,
Okay.
You're right. It was. And now he's got another guy. In Stephon Diggs. Yeah, Deebo Samuel was RB 9 per game, I believe, in half PPR, something like that last year. All right, after Deebo, we have Michael Pittman. Joey dips into the tight end pool. He takes Sam Laporta. Then Nico Collins goes. Then Travis Kelce, and then Brandon Ayuk. All right, why'd you take Laporta there? You had Jamar Chase, Drake London, still no running backs, and you took Sam Laporta.
Yeah, last week in a draft for Jamie's doing for the magazine, I took Laporta at the turn of the second and thought, okay, looking in hindsight, that was a little early. We haven't seen a tight end rookie season like this. It's pretty unprecedented, honestly. Just this Lions offense. I was saying it last year, and I'm kind of going back to the well. A top 10 quarterback. Goff's been a top 10 quarterback the last 2 seasons in a row. Number 1 tight end, a top 5 wide receiver, and 2 top 10 running backs. I want pieces of this offense. I think it's going to be high powered again. I think Gibbs' role could grow, but Laporta, I think his role is solid as the second wide receiver option, a receiving option on this team, which I don't think is a bad thing at all.
By the way, I should ask you about your Drake London pick. You took him in the middle of round 2.
I kind of alluded to it with the Zach Robinson. I loved what he did with the Rams last season. He's going over to the Falcons. There's a lot of talent there. I think Drake London could easily lead the NFC South in targets, if, of course, the team. So I like what London has. I like Kirk Cousins as the quarterback. Hopefully he stays there the whole year and can calm down a little bit. Penix is not going to push you this season, buddy. You'll be okay. It's going to be all right. But yeah, I really like London this season.
Me too.
No, we did not get our first quarterback. We thought we did. We had an auto pick, but backed out. It's time for the quarterbacks to come off the board here. Dave, after Joey took Laporta, Nico Collins went, and then you took Travis Kelce. So obviously you wanted to get on the tight ends as well. Question for you, Dave. If you didn't take Kelce there, I think there's a pretty good chance you could have gotten McBride or Andrews in round 4. You took Kelce in round 3. You're up again in about 10 picks. What do you think? Would you rather take Kelce in round 3 or wait 10 picks and take McBride or Andrews?
I'm not sure if Andrews would have been there in round 4. And in a half PPR, I'm not as excited about McBride. And I'm also not like over the moon about McBride to begin with, because we all love Marvin Harrison. We all expect him to go and and settle in for at least 8 targets per game, someone's going to lose out. I don't think McBride's going to get the same type of target share that he got last year. Still could be a big-time red zone threat. No doubt about it. Still a top 5 type of fantasy tight end, but I want to prefer him in full PPR. Half PPR, non-PPR, not going to be as excited. Didn't want to risk losing out on Andrews in round 4. Why risk it? Just take Travis Kelce, who, for all the same exact reasons that Joey gave about Sam Laporta, I like Kelce for. The difference, he's older. And last year, he suffered a serious ankle injury. Seemed like it took him a long time to rebound after that. Basically, when the playoffs started, Travis Kelce looked like Travis Kelce again. I'm hoping that doesn't quite happen this year. And I don't think there's going to be a massive target drain for Kelce just because Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy have entered the chat in Kansas City.
Okay, we do have a quarterback off the board, but as we know, every time we do one of these drafts, I am terrible at my job. I cannot draft and do my job, so I have forgotten completely to take a break. We need to go to commercial break. We got 2 quarterbacks off the board. We'll tell you about the end of round 3 and the beginning of round 4 after this.
Women have power. Use it.
You need to send a message. I never should have sent a boy to do a woman's job.
The Chi. New episodes May 10th. Visit ParamountPlus.com/The Chi to get 50% off.
All right, after Dave took Travis Kelce with the, what do you have, the 8th pick? Sorry, 8th pick of round 4. We go Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, Zay Flowers, and Ken Walker. We had 9 non-running backs taken in between Derek. So it was Rashad White and Derrick Henry to start round 3, and then the last pick of round 3 was Ken Walker. So not a big running back round there in round 3. Let's see if anything changes. Patrick Mahomes, the first 4 picks of round 4 rather, 3 of them are quarterbacks. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson 2, and then Devon Achane, and then Jalen Hurts. And Dave comes back, he takes Alvin Kamara, and there's Josh Allen. Can anyone justify taking Lamar Jackson as QB2?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm listening.
Jalen Hurts won't be as good. Well, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, neither one is going to rush for 15 touchdowns this year.
Okay.
Like, what if they rush for 8 and lose 3 fantasy points per game from that?
All right, we got T. Higgins on the board here. I'm going to take T. Higgins. I love T. Higgins. I was actually considering taking him in the 3rd round, but everyone would have made fun of me. So I'm going to take him here. But I'm going to read this question because Cooper Kupp is also on the board. Let me just read round 4. Mahomes, Lamar, Devon Achane, Jalen Hurts, Kamara, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Mark Andrews, T. Higgins, and then Jamie took Cooper Kupp. So the question was from Bill, when is the appropriate draft spot for Cooper Kupp? I'm doing a best ball tourney, and he has a current ADP of 32. Puka has an ADP of 10. Does this seem appropriate? Has there been a changing of the guards? Jamie, I'm going to throw it to you and mention that when Cooper Kupp first came back after missing the first 4 games of the year, he was so good that we were talking about him as maybe like a top 5 player in fantasy rest of season. And then maybe he was slowed by his injury, by maybe Stafford's injury, and maybe there was a changing of the guard. But you took him 46th overall.
Yeah, there was a run on receivers here, and I was just hoping to get one of these guys with Diggs, Higgins, Kupp, and Devontae Smith. And I was happy to get any of them. I feel like I've flipped my ageist theory here by taking Evans and Kupp back to back. But in any event, is there a changing of the guard? Yes. Is there a dramatic changing of the guard? No. I think Cooper Kupp's still going to have a lot of great performances and a lot of great opportunities to make plays. He's still going to be a featured part of this offense and may end up being better than Puka Nacua, who, when we talk, we just spend a lot of time talking about draft capital and how these players perform coming out of the NFL draft. And, sometimes there's these surprises, and Puka clearly was a surprise. Can it be sustainable, over the course of his career? I think a lot of us are excited about him, understandably so, but this is still a guy that Matthew Stafford relies on in Cooper Kupp, and he's still going to be a featured part of the offense. So round 4 feels a little safe. Round 3 feels a little bit early. 32 probably too soon, in my opinion. But end of round 3, beginning of round 4, I'm fine for him in that range.
Round 4, one more time, was Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Achane, Jalen Hurts, Alvin Kamara, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Mark Andrews, T. Higgins, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Smith, and Calvin Ridley. to Heath, who took his first wide receiver, and then he took Trey McBride to start round 5. Then Christian Kirk was the next pick, and then Jamie was on the clock, and he took Joe Mixon. So that gives Heath, McCaffrey, James Cook, Rashad White, Calvin Ridley, and Trey McBride. It gives Jamie CeeDee Lamb, Isaiah Pacheco, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, and Joe Mixon. And it gives me 37 seconds to make my next pick with Breece Hall, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, T. Higgins. I think it's too early for QB 5 here. It's too early for tight end 5 here. So let's see the running backs available. And I do like David Montgomery as a not super high upside, but pretty high floor guy. This is the second straight draft. I think I'm taking him. So
You've always been a big David Montgomery guy.
He's perfect for the role he plays. But there's obviously risk with him. He's got to get in the end zone. If he doesn't get in the end zone, you're screwed. But I think round 5 is good time for him, right? Round 5 for Montgomery, good?
I'm good with it.
I was debating Mixon and Montgomery.
And then Zamir White. Who do you guys like better, Zamir White or David Montgomery? They went back to back.
White.
Montgomery in this format.
Same.
Slightly.
Aaron Jones is next to Joey. All right, Joey. So let's say Montgomery, White, and Aaron Jones had all been on the board. Who would you have taken?
I would have taken Montgomery. I really wanted Joe Mixon, and I'm mad at Jamie.
Heath, how do you feel about your team with one wide receiver, and it's Calvin Ridley through your first 5 picks and 3 receivers?
I really struggled with Ridley versus McBride versus Tank Dell for those 2 spots. And I chose McBride because he is the one who I feel more confident will be a difference maker. I think the wide receivers both have the potential to be top 15 guys this year, but also have quite a bit of risk. So I went with McBride as the tight end. I'm okay with it. I've said this before about running backs in the past, and now I'm saying it about wide receivers, so it's funny. But if you're really good if I have Christian McCaffrey and the top 2 or 3 tight end and 2 other top 12 running backs, you can figure the wide receivers out.
Okay. All right, so round 5 so far is McBride, Christian Kirk, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Zamir White, Aaron Jones. 4 straight running backs. Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, and then let's talk about Jacob Gibbs's team picking 9th. He took Malik Neighbors in round 5, 9th pick of round 5. Then it was Dalton Kincaid, George Pickens, and Jay is on the clock. Pickens, that's a little later than I expected to see him go. But Jacob, through 5 picks, does not have a running back. It's a 3-receiver league and a flex, so you can start up to 4 receivers. He does not have a running back. He has Jalen Hurts and 4 wide receivers, and 2 of them are rookies. Jalen Hurts, he has A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison, Brandon Ayuk, and Malik Neighbors.
I like it. I don't like Neighbors there, but I like the rest of it.
I like this team. I'm just gonna spice up this podcast and get a little fight going here. I like this team so much better than Heath's team.
Everybody does. But the narrative, I'm going to probably end up being the running back guy this year because the narrative has shifted so wide receiver heavy that I think the value is at running back.
Did Dave hand you keys to that closet so you could have it now?
Yeah. Dave gave it to me.
How do we feel about Dalton Kincaid and Kyle Pitts? 2 of the last 3 picks of round 5. So just inside the top 60. Joey, I'll throw it to you. Kincaid and Pitts, they are tight ends 5 and 6 off the board. Should they be top 60 picks?
Yes, I like Kincaid a lot. I think he's getting pushed down a lot with the rookie coming in there to Buffalo. But, with Pitts coming in with Zach Robinson, I like that. But I don't think Dalton Kincaid is just going to go away. What we saw out of him at the end of last year, I really, really liked. So, I think they're definitely worth top 60 picks.
Agreed. Big time.
George Pickens a steal, Dave, at 59?
No, I think that's right around where he should go. I think he's good. Absolutely should be in this range, but not necessarily a steal.
Should Pickens have gone? Well, you took Metcalf. I was going to say ahead of McLaurin and Metcalf.
McLaurin, yes. Metcalf, no.
Ooh, Brock Bowers off the board. 62nd overall. I think we're going to say that's a little bit too early.
Brandon is our editor. He does not care about our rankings.
It's true.
He likes who he likes, and that's it.
Deontay Johnson, Brock Bowers to start out round 6, followed by Anthony Richardson. And that is QB 5. And this is a 6-point per passing touchdown league. Is that okay, guys? Anthony Richardson, QB 5?
If he's your QB 5 and you've got to have him, you got to take him right around when CJ Stroud's going to go. And when you're picking, where was this pick taken? It was toward the beginning of the round, right? So Richardson, he probably had the fear that Richardson wouldn't make it back to him. That's who took him? Who took him? It was Joel. Joel's guy. Joel's also got pretty strong conviction with who he takes. So he had to have him. That's when he took him. I don't have that big of a problem with it. I would have tried to wait a little bit, but I don't know if he would have made it back.
All right, we have Rashee Rice as one of the highest ranked wide receivers on the boards. We're actually 8 picks into the round, into round 6, and he's now being investigated for assault. So this is a situation here. All right, so I'm on the clock. Joe Burrow could be my pick. Some of the top wide receivers are Rice, Chris Godwin. In PPR, I'd pull the trigger on Godwin. I don't know about in half. Hopkins, Keenan Allen. I don't love the receiver value here. Running back is pretty good. Najee Harris, Tony Pollard, James Conner, DeAndre Swift, Nick Chubb. I think I might wait around there and take Burrow. No, screw that. Let's go with a running back. And I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift, my first time drafting him. Seems like he's getting drafted later and later. I don't really know why. Maybe that's just in our drafts. But I'm going with DeAndre Swift. Okay, Jamie, you're on the clock. You have Lamb, Evans, and Kupp at receiver. You have Pacheco and Mixon. And what are you going to do here?
Well, knowing that there's 2 teams behind me that already have 2 running backs on one team and 3 running backs on another, I'll probably skip that position just to see what comes back if I'm so inclined to go there. I'm going to take Burrow. I think it's good value for him here. Glad that he's back with the team. And excited about the opportunity to see him healthy for a full season, which would be great.
Okay, well, thanks for taking my guy. That sucked. And Dan Schneier is on the clock now. Dan Schneier is making just terrible jokes in the chat. I mean, I know you're not watching or listening. Maybe sometimes Dan listens, but you're just off your game today.
How does CBS allow you to say that on there?
Allow to say what he's saying?
That was
because it's so unfunny. Yeah, no. Dan has Tyreek Hill, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith, and Christian Kirk. Not bad. Is everybody good with Josh Jacobs, 23rd overall?
In this format, yes. PPR, no.
I don't like it that's early.
And I don't feel like it's early at all in any format. I think he's going to be the main cog of that run game in Green Bay.
We've seen for so long, like we've complained about it being too close to a 50-50 split. And I thought the acquisition of Josh Jacobs might change that. But then bringing back Dillon and drafting Marshawn Lloyd, I feel like it's just going to be the same thing it's been.
I don't. I think Lloyd can jump Dillon. I don't see Dillon as a massive threat. I don't even know if he's a lock to make the final roster at this point. Lloyd would be the bigger threat in my mind, but still, round 3 rookie. I don't think he's taking Josh Jacobs' role. I think they went out and they gave Jacobs plenty of cash. They want him to be the feature back. There's going to be a second back involved, but I think Jacobs will get all those high value opportunities that we're talking about.
Okay.
So I finally got a wide receiver at a value that I liked. And I will say Malik Neighbors went, a round and a half earlier. Ladd McConkey is my second favorite rookie wide receiver for redraft this year. Like him a lot at the start of round 7.
Okay, so you got him at the start. You went with back-to-back receivers. Dan took Chris Godwin, give him 4 receivers here.
And that's who I was going to take.
Godwin, okay. And then Heath took Cortland Sutton and Ladd McConkey. And we are now into round 7, everybody. I'll recap round 6 for you. Round 6 was Deontay, Bowers, Richardson, Jonathan Brooks. That was one I totally skipped over. And it's Jacobs' first running back, and he now has 3 rookies, Harrison, Neighbors, and Jonathan Brooks. So Brooks went with the 4th pick of round 6. Then Tank Dell with the 5th pick of round 6. Nice pick, Dave Richard.
Yep.
Jaden Reed to Zach. Joey took his quarterback. It's CJ Stroud. Amari Cooper, DeAndre Swift, Joe Burrow, Chris Godwin, Cortland Sutton. Jamie, you're on the clock. You just took Najee Harris in round 7. Cortland Sutton was the last pick of round 6. Round 7 is McConkey, Keenan Allen, Jamie took Najee Harris. That gives him his third running back. He has 3 running backs, 3 receivers, and Burrow, Lamb, Evans, Kupp, Pacheco, Mixon, Harris. I'm on the clock with Breece Hall, Adams, Debo, Samuel, Higgins, Montgomery, and Swift. And tight ends available right now: Evan Ingram, George Kittle. I think I'm just going to go with Kyler Murray. Okay. That was my backup plan if I didn't get Burrow. Jamie, I was going to ask you about Amari Cooper, but instead, you know what? I'm going to read this email, Jamie. I want to get your thoughts here. It's from Pete from Seattle. He says, "Dear Ernie, Shaq, Kenny, and Chuck." Yes, they're awesome. "It seems the consensus order for the Bears wide receivers is DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. Why couldn't Odunze be second and potentially even push Moore off the 1 spot? We bring up the Seahawks trio last year, but what about the Bengals trio back in 2021? They had an emerging star off his rookie year in T. Higgins. They had Tyler Boyd, who was still in his best years, and they took Chase, and Chase bested both of those guys in year 1. Jamie, I thought that was a really cool comparison by Pete. What do you think about that?
It's a great comparison. He absolutely could be, and I think that's something that we could look back on and say it was a mistake to draft him after Odunze, to draft him after Keenan Allen. I don't think there's, if both are healthy, I don't think that Odunze will be better than DJ Moore. But clearly Keenan Allen going to a new team, new quarterback, and I keep saying this, new environment, going to play from Southern California to Chicago is probably going to be a little bit of a negative for him, especially somebody who's played in California his entire collegiate and pro career. Once the weather starts to get a little bit of a problem, so I have them relatively close, Odunze and Keenan Allen. If you want to go with the youth over experience, I get it, but I would still take DJ Moore over Odunze for now.
Joe, you want to weigh in? What do you think about the Bears passing game? After this, we're going to take a break and get back to round 7 and 8.
It reminds me of the Bucs wide receiver room when Antonio Brown was there with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I think every week we're going to have 2 guys that are relevant, and 1 week it's probably just going to be the odd man out. I think Odunze is probably going to be that guy to start the season, but as the season goes on, I could see it not being 33, but Odunze's role growing. If I'm drafting, I'd rather have DJ Moore first, and I would take Keenan Allen second just to start the season off.
Again, just to tie in the Seahawks guys, we said this many times. Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator for the Seahawks a year ago, now offensive coordinator for the Bears. So he gave us a bad blueprint of the rookie stepping in and having a big role right away.
Or he gave us the blueprint of why Keenan Allen is maybe not a bust and a value pick in drafts.
Fair point.
Or he gave us a blueprint of the slot guy isn't going to get that many targets, which was JSN, which I just don't know that you can really take one situation and apply it to the other. I don't know. You've got a completely different quarterback. It's not applying it to one to the other. It's just viewing how it could happen, because again, there was high profile rookie joining 2 veteran receivers. Oh, by the way, same offensive coordinator, so there's easy comps. It just, you can't expect it to be the exact same thing.
I think the scary thing is that it's rookie quarterback who's probably going to run quite a bit more than the quarterback did in Seattle. There's just not as many targets. So there better be one big loser. If it's even at all, then they might all be losers.
Right. Considering the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in their history, and there were only like 11 or 12 of those last year or something like that. And Caleb Williams is a rookie. I don't know that you're getting 4,000 passing yards from that offense. It just makes me wonder if we should be drafting any of them, or if just leave them to someone else. I don't know. It's tough. Okay, let's take a break. Take a break here. I'll recap round 7, and we'll get into round 8 as we had 2 more rookies. We had 3 rookie receivers in round 7. 2 more after Heath took Ladd McConkey to start the round. And we'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere?
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We're back. Okay, here's round 7 for you in this 12-team, 3-receiver, half PPR league. Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Najee Harris, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Jordan Addison, Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, Rome Odunze, Xavier Worthy going back-to-back. Dave, your thoughts there real quick. And Austin Eckler was the last pick of round 7, but Odunze and Worthy.
I have Worthy higher just because of, he's in a crowded offense too, but he's got Patrick Mahomes instead of Caleb Williams. He's got Andy Reid instead of Shane Waldron. So forgive me. Plus, he's got better speed than Odunze. I think he can maybe make a bigger impact without necessarily the same type of target share. You could see Odunze getting 15, 20 more targets over the course of the season than Worthy, but I think Worthy can be a little bit more explosive. And this is the time in the draft when you're going to start taking chances on high upside players. Worthy's one of them.
Guys, it feels like when you do drafts, there are certain areas of the draft where the positional value swings. And if you look at maybe rounds 6 and 7, was that when the running back value really was better than the wide receiver?
I thought so. I still think so. There are still running backs on the board that I think could be not the best starters for your fantasy team, but guys who could begin the year as your starters.
Like who?
Mm-hmm. Zach Moss, who just went.
Damn it.
Nice pick by RJ White. I strongly considered Zach Moss over Jordan Love. I think if this were a real draft where we could trade later on, I would have taken Moss. He would have been my 4th running back.
Yeah, I was going to take him. Zach.
Other running backs, though, just to finish the point. Brian Robinson in Washington is still there. This is the middle of round 8. Raheem Mostert, Tyjae Spears in Tennessee. You might puke at these names, but again, just to start the year as your RB2, Devin Singletary, Gus Edwards. I think they qualify. I think they've got a chance to give you at least a decent amount of fantasy points for the first few weeks of the season. And maybe they pull a Mostert and they're healthy all year and they're productive and they score 18 touchdowns.
So I've got this dilemma. I'm on the clock and I'm looking at Mostert, Evan Ingram, and Tyjae Spears. And I want to hit a home run here. And I think that's Spears.
How is it not Mostert?
I just don't. I don't know. I think they were like, obviously he was so touchdown dependent last year. He catches almost nothing. Achane is, I think primed for a bigger role than what he had last year. I'm hoping. I don't really factor in Jalen Wright, except for what you said, I think, in a previous show. If there's an injury, Jalen Wright probably comes in and takes away some of the injury upside. But I was thinking, like, God, do I take Spears or Mostert? That's a really tough call.
It is just funny to think of what the Dolphins running backs did on a per game basis last year. And Achane went in round 4. And now we really are having a tough time pulling the trigger on Raheem Mostert in round 8.
32.
But we don't have any interest in Jalen Wright.
No, I don't have any. Well, he is 32. And pretty much by the end of the year, it's like all he was doing was scoring touchdowns. But I'm haunted by not taking him there. I will admit it. Like, you're going to take him, right?
No.
You're not going to take him? You took
I'm not taking any more running backs. I've got my running backs.
All right. Jamie took Marquise Brown after I took Spears. Dan took Evan Ingram. Heath took Rashee Rice. And we are on to round 9.
I got a little friendship strategy with Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, okay. You're going to have to take Levis.
No.
Right? That's just
and you took Rice, too.
At all. Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I think, like, especially if you're a team that kind of skimped on wide receiver early, and you get a chance to take him at the 8-9 turn, like, there's still a chance that he's missing a month, and then everything's just what we were expecting it to be.
It's either going to be a league-winning pick right now, or a headache for you for half a season.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe not even that long. Maybe he's the guy I'm dropping to make my first waiver claim week 1. Because
and in the way that you built your team, it's an excellent pick because you needed some sort of swing for the fence at receiver there.
By the way, I got Raheem Mostert in the next round. Boom! What a feeling. Is that the best feeling in fantasy?
Yep.
You're torn between 2 players and you get them both.
I mean, winning the championship, it generally feels better than that. But on draft day, that's a really good feeling.
I'm going to have to take your word for it on that, Dave. DeAndre Hopkins was the first pick of round 9. Caleb Williams, George Kittle to Jamie, Raheem Mostert to me, Devin Singletary, Joey. Oh, I missed you being on the clock. All right, what'd you do, Joey? You had You
I went
had
Jalen
Stroud. Sorry, let me set up your team. You had Stroud and Laporta. You had Aaron Jones and Ezekiel Elliott. That's just funny. And you had Jamar Chase, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, and Jordan Addison. And who did you take in round 9?
Jalen Warren. You guys were talking about all these running backs, and I think Warren's name might have been mentioned, but I think the Steelers kind of showed their hand by not picking up that 5th year for Najee. Like, I think Najee might walk after this year, and I only see Warren's role growing bigger in this offense, unless they ride Najee Harris into the ground. But I like Jalen Warren quite a bit next year in Pittsburgh. I think the quarterback situation's improved, so he can catch some balls out of the backfield. I like it a lot.
It's a, as somebody who took Najee Harris, it's a great pick. And, I've typically done the reverse where I've taken Jalen Warren more so than Najee in the drafts that we've done. I do think what you said, though, is what the Steelers probably plan to do, is just run Najee into the ground.
Yeah.
They have no reason not to. And that's kind of what they've done. I know last year they gave Warren more work, and I'm sure they still want to continue to put a lot on his plate. But from a carry and touchdown potential, I still think Najee's the better running back. And in this format, I don't mind him, especially the value that I got for him. I do like there was the rumor of maybe Dallas trying to trade for Najee Harris, which would be amazing, just to see that marriage happen, because it would then free Jalen Warren to be the lead guy there in Pittsburgh. And that would be awesome for both those guys, because, Najee would still end up in a place where he can retain the same type of value, if not maybe a little bit more, just because of Dallas's offense. And then, we can get the best of Jalen Warren. So let's make that trade happen.
Yeah. For this team, it would be scary for me for like a second, because Najee would go to Dallas and I'd be like, oh, well, there goes my Zeke pick. But then Jalen Warren, I'm like, hey, okay, I made up for it.
Yeah.
So it would work out for me.
I want to ask Heath a question, because we didn't touch on the news. You mentioned the friendship strategy of the Titans guys. Does Tyler Boyd's presence there concern you for either of those two guys because of his relationship with Callahan?
I don't. I think that Tyler Boyd's going to play and probably help the Titans. I don't think he's going to impact targets of Calvin Ridley or DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's going to be firmly in the third role. Maybe the problem is for Chigo Okonkwo's and any potential of hope of breakout for him.
So we know that, or we believe that Calvin Ridley is going to play the Jamar Chase role, and DeAndre Hopkins is going to play the T. Higgins role.
I think Tyler Boyd might play the Tyler Boyd role. And Chigo Okonkwo is going to play the Drew Sample role.
Yeah.
Poor Chig.
Well, poor Traylon Burks. I mean, his dynasty value. I don't know.
Man, I was thinking about that today. He had so much promise when he came into the league, and just, the best ability is availability, and he did not make himself available in his rookie year, and he didn't do a whole heck of a lot to help himself since then.
There seems to be a drop off maybe at running back in round 9. So round 9 is Hopkins, Caleb Williams, George Kittle, and then look at these next 3 picks: Raheem Mostert, Devin Singletary, Jalen Warren. Whether they are starters or not for their team, they're clearly going to be involved. And then you had Keon Coleman to Zach, and then you have Blake Corum to Dave, Chase Brown to Jacob, and JSN, which was a guy I was looking at. So I think that's a great pick. JSN very late in round 9. And then Ty Chandler. So the first 3 running backs in the round, Dave, are Mostert, Singletary, and Warren. The last 3 running backs are Corum, Chase Brown, and Ty Chandler.
None of those 3 should have been taken. And I'm saying this knowing that I took Corum. None of them should have been taken ahead of Brian Robinson, who I just got at 113th overall. And I'm not saying that he's going to be amazing this year, but splitting the rushing workload with Austin Eckler in a Washington offense that's I think they're going to try and run the football more than Cliff Kingsbury's offenses have typically been. And B, his efficiency should spike if Jaden Daniels does what we think he can do as a running quarterback. I love that pick this late. I can't believe he fell this far.
But let me ask you this, right? Because you took Corum ahead of him. And it's great that you got both guys. So, greatest feeling in fantasy.
It was the Azer strategy.
Yeah. But isn't Corum, if there's an injury to Kyron Williams,
Corum's awesome. And if there's not, then I should have taken Robinson then. I
don't know that Brian Robinson has any path to being a true must start, unless he just has a much better year than we expect, scores a lot of touchdowns. But
if this offense is better, they don't throw as much as they did last year. I think you can lock into that. And if he scores plenty of touchdowns, 3rd year in the league, I think I'm not, again, I don't think he's going to break out and be some type of 1,500-yard, 10-touchdown superstar. But he could honestly, would it shock you if he scored 10 times? If he
I
stayed
think he
healthy
could
all year?
absolutely be a must-start running back if Austin Eckler gets hurt.
Yeah, I don't know why you would say that.
I don't know that I don't think he would get the passing downs role.
But he did last year.
Yeah, he wasn't that bad at it last year.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Understand
I
that you're doing a
love
lot.
sniping value this late in the draft, and that's one that slipped through the cracks.
it was a good. I'm not saying it was a good pick. I'm just comparing him to Corum. Does Robinson have that like league-winning upside?
Yeah, but again, we're
No, but who
expecting
does this
McVay
late?
to go to Corum right away if Kyron Williams goes down. I mean, we saw last year that and granted they didn't have a player like Corum, but when Kyron was down, they used two guys.
I guess they don't really have a. Do they have a pass catching back on their team to replace Eckler?
Chris Rodriguez Jr. Is he
I
still
can
there?
look at their depth chart
Washington?
quickly.
Yeah, Rodriguez is still there, but I don't think he's a pass catcher.
He could
Yeah,
do it.
it's-
I don't know if he would. I don't know if they'd let him.
I mean, Robinson did have like 15 targets in 2 games and caught 13 of them for like 175 yards.
When Gibson was out, yeah, they used him quite a bit in that role.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. That's a good point. All right, let's take a look then. Let's recap. We've missed a lot of picks. So Brian Thomas Jr. was the last pick of round 9. Round 10, Curtis Samuel, Adonai Mitchell of the Colts, Mike Williams with the Jets, Marshawn Lloyd of the Packers, Brian Robinson to Dave, Gus Edwards to Zach, Jamison Williams, Khalil Shakir, Quentin Johnston, Jahan Dotson, and then Justin Herbert to Dan as he takes Caleb Williams and Justin Herbert. And then Heath, did you make your back-to-back picks?
I took Tua and Tyler Lockett.
What other quarterbacks were you considering there? And you took Tua.
Tua was kind of stood alone. I was looking at my top 200 rankings and not at my quarterback rankings. So I let Lawrence and Purdy are right there with him. Those three are firmly in the same tier for me. I just had Tua at the top.
Gotcha. All right. So Tua and Tyler Lockett, Schneier on the clock here. And we are in round 11. So we'll do a few more rounds here on the air. Antonio Gibson is the pick for Schneier. I don't know why. And let's see the other running backs available right now. Zach Charbonnet. That's a great pick, Jamie.
Thank you.
Charbonnet in round 11. I got to get the round of applause.
That's a really bad job by you. Come on.
Why?
Turn the round of applause down.
It's too loud?
Way too loud.
Joey, what do you think? Was it too loud?
I can't hear anything anymore.
Okay. To me, it doesn't sound loud at all.
Yeah.
People say it's loud. All right. Njoku is picked. And now RJ's on the clock. Let's let Joey talk about his team. So Joey, what do you've got all your starters. You've got 3 running backs and 5 receivers. So we thinking running back here?
I'm actually going to take another wide receiver if he's there that I like. I think I'm okay at running back for where I'm at now. There's a few flyers I'm going to take in the next couple rounds. The pick I like for my team the most is the CJ Stroud pick. I've got him as my QB4, and to get him as my QB6 after Anthony Richardson and after Lamar Jackson, I feel really great about that pick. And I'm normally someone that waits on quarterback. I'm usually the last guy in my league to take one, and I take 2 in double-digit rounds. And I think this is kind of the perfect year to do that. But if quarterback value slips to me like I think CJ Stroud is, I'm taking that 10 times out of 10.
Okay, you're on the clock. And I know you said you're going to pick a wide receiver, but you've got Ezekiel Elliott as your RB2. Why not take Rico Dowdle here?
Because I shouldn't say this, but I think Dowdle might be available in the 12th round.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Take your wide receiver. Who's going to be the last pick?
I'm going to take Joshua Palmer.
Jerome. I was going to take Josh Palmer next round.
I think to start the season, he is my favorite Chargers wide receiver just because of the rapport he has with Justin Herbert. As the season goes on, I think it might change a little bit, but I know that Heath likes Ladd McConkey, but it's anyone's question of who's going to stand out there.
Palmer was on my radar when I made the Lockett pick. I almost went double friendship strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of friendship.
And I took Quentin Johnston, and I was thinking about Palmer. I feel like if Palmer's got a better chance to be relevant, I think Johnston has a better chance to have any upside. But obviously, he had a just terrible rookie year, and he might just be a bust. But yeah, that's a good pick there with Josh Palmer. TJ Hawkinson goes to Zach. And then, Dave, what did you do, sir?
I wanted Hawkinson. You guys know that I'm sniping him late in every single draft. I was one pick away from getting Hawkinson on my bench. I took Roman Wilson. I need some wide receiver depth. I didn't really address it at all in this mock after taking St. Brown, Metcalf, and Tank Dell to be my starting receivers. And you know that I've been a big fan of Roman Wilson for the better part of the last 6 months. Think he's got an outside shot to be the number 1 receiver in Pittsburgh, probably more likely to be the number 2 target getter.
So now I think everyone has a tight end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 12 tight ends are taken. One of them is Hawkinson. So Zach might need to get someone for the beginning of the season. Maybe. We don't know. Jake Ferguson went 2 picks later, or 1 pick after Dave took Roman Wilson. Rico Dowdle goes to Joel. And then it was Audric Estime to Brandon. People got to probably start thinking about handcuffs here, if there are any that they like. Like Dave did do that. Is that why you took Blake Corum, by the way?
Yes.
I don't know.
I still like taking Corum in the range where I got him, whether I have Kyron Williams or not. But every time I take Kyron Williams in round 2, I'm going to target Blake Corum in round 9.
Someone in our chat says these guys really undervalue rookies in elite situations. Jamie, what do you think he's referring to there? And are we doing that?
Rookies in elite situations. I guess it would be McConkey and Keon Coleman. Those type of guys.
Maybe we didn't draft Harrison high enough.
McConkey went with the first pick of round 7. And where's Keon Coleman? He went in round 9, middle of round 9.
Neighbors. I don't know if that's an elite situation, but I guess, yeah, if you're looking at the two that I referenced, I mean, they're potential number 1 receivers with great quarterbacks.
Could Brian Thomas be in that same category?
Again, a lot of vacated targets on that Jaguars roster. So yeah, you can make the case for that for sure.
Where did he go in this draft, Brian Thomas?
Last pick of round 9.
I almost drafted him when I took Hopkins.
And not just vacated
like
targets for Jacksonville, but vacated end zone targets. Calvin Ridley, I believe he had the most end zone targets in the NFL. This was Trevor Lawrence's.
Does it count as an end zone target if you're standing out of bounds?
Even if you remove those 15, he still had a lot. All right, let's catch up on I'll just give you rounds 10 and 11. 10 was, I said this already, but you probably forgot. Curtis Samuel, Adonai Mitchell, Mike Williams, Marshawn Lloyd, Brian Robinson, Gus Edwards, Jamison Williams, Khalil Shakir, Quentin Johnston, Jahan Dotson, Justin Herbert, and Tua Tagovailoa. 11 is Tyler Lockett, Antonio Gibson, Zach Charbonnet, David Njoku, Jerome Ford, Josh Palmer, TJ Hawkinson, Roman Wilson, Jake Ferguson, Rico Dowdle, Audric Estime, and J.K. Dobbins.
How do you feel good that you only have 3 receivers in a 3-receiver league?
I have 4.
You have 3.
Why? Because you're not counting Quentin Johnston?
Yeah, you have 3.
Well, the receivers I think are great. Adams, Deebo Samuel, and T. Higgins. And no, I don't feel great about it. But that was when I took Mostert over JSN.
Well, Heath talked you into that one. So you good job, Heath.
Thanks.
I took Mostert over JSN, and that was my 5th running back. So you could have said that was my mistake. But I don't know. I mean, it's at some point you just want to get the best player, right? And if we were playing this out, there's opportunities for trades. So I think Mostert needs to go ahead of JSN. Okay. By the way, if it were a full PPR league, I don't think I'd have 4 receivers. I probably have at least 5. In round 12, we've got Dontavian Wicks, Jermaine Burton, Josh Downs, Tyrone Tracy, Brock Purdy, Jacoby Myers, Jalen Wright to Joey. RJ took Troy Franklin. And Adam is on the clock. Okay, Jamie, I'm going to take another receiver. Oh, man. How about? Oof. They all aren't so good.
Nope.
Xavier Legette, Jerry Jeudy, Shaheed is interesting. Yeah. No.
What the hell's happening?
I don't like my pick here. I'm gonna go with
It's round 12. You didn't like your pick in round 2. You're not going to find somebody you like here.
I'm gonna go with Xavier Legette. He's a first rounder in an elite situation. No, that's not true. Xavier Legette is the pick. Troy Franklin was a much better pick. Good job, RJ. One pick before me. Jamie's on the clock. What's it gonna be?
I was going to take Legette.
It's so long. So long.
Yeah.
All right.
What
I've
has
never
happened?
been laughed at that long before. I was confused what was going on.
I have Elijah Mitchell to Jamie. Oh, burn, Heath. You have
But I got my guy, Trevor Lawrence.
Dan took Kamani Vidal. Heath took
Always
Trevor.
been a big Trevor Lawrence guy.
I know you should. Trevor Lawrence to go with Tua, and Marvin Mims was your next pick.
Wanted to get one of Mims or Franklin. Have absolutely no idea which one is the right answer, but needed somebody there to be friends with Cortland Sutton.
Good stuff. Let's see. We probably still have some good quarterbacks left. Maybe not actually. If Lawrence is off the board, we have Cousins, Deshaun Watson, Jared.
Aren't you obligated to take Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about. You know what? I'm going to take either him or. I'm not going to take Jerry Jeudy because he just went.
I'm going to take Jerry Jeudy.
All right, Jamie, you're back up. This will be our last round, folks. What's it going to be, James? Who you could you take? Oh, Shaheed. Okay. Maybe I'll take a wide receiver instead. I am going to take. You know what? Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe the Patriots are geniuses. Maybe Jalen Polk is really that good. I'm going to take Jalen Polk.
Ah,
That's right. That's right. Never mind. All right. Let's see. Joey, what's going on? We're going to end the show here. Oh, what happened?
RJ White. He took Romeo Doubs. I like taking the third Green Bay Packers wide receiver in drafts. So RJ,
Fourth.
Great pick.
Fourth.
Oh, even better. Oh man. I'm not tilting. I had a pick loaded up, but
All right, Romeo Doubs, and then you took Ricky Pearsall.
yeah.
And then Dallas Goedert to the guy who had Hawkinson. So that's a good pick there.
You should have taken Pearsall, Adam, as the Debo guy.
Debo never gets hurt. We're fine.
We could get traded.
He could get traded, yeah. I don't how excited would you be about Pearsall if Debo got traded?
Very
plenty.
Yep.
It's not a great rookie receivers don't do great necessarily in this offense.
Ayuk's second half was pretty good.
Ayuk was good, but Debo missed a lot of time that year.
Well,
but in this scenario, Debo is gone.
I thought Debo didn't get hurt.
Anybody in this offense is worth considering in round 76.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we in? Round 12? Yeah.
No,
13. Round 13. Mm-hmm. All right. So after Pearsall was Goddard, Malachi Corley, Javon Baker, Chuba Hubbard, Wandale Robinson, and Brandon Cooks. We never talk about Brandon Cooks, Dave Richard. Give me your thoughts on Brandon Cooks before we leave.
I didn't like how he didn't see an elevated target share last year. Basically, no one saw an elevated target share in Dallas except for CeeDee Lamb. I don't think it changes now. But when you watched Cooks play, I thought he had good speed. I thought he could still get open. I think you could do better with even a late round pick at this point. He's the type of receiver that you should be able to spot start as a bye week replacement, as an injury replacement, not somebody that you start the season with on your bench.
Okay, I'm going to read the teams that we drafted. And Nada, our producer, if you could just scroll up. You don't even have to fill in round 14 here. Thank you. All right, Heath had the first pick. and he took McCaffrey, James Cook, Rashad White, Calvin Ridley, Trey McBride. You know what? I'm going to do it by position. Heath has Tua and Lawrence at quarterback. He has McCaffrey, James Cook, Rashad White at running back, Trey McBride at tight end, and the rest of his team is wide receivers. Calvin Ridley, Cortland Sutton, Ladd McConkey, Rashee Rice, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Marvin Mims. Grade it, Heath.
Incomplete.
Okay. That's, yeah. Jamie had the third pick. You all get an incomplete, by the way. Jamie
results is best answer.
Joe Burrow, who we took in round 6. George Kittle at tight end. Isaiah Pacheco, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, Zach Charbonnet, and Elijah Mitchell. And then the receivers are probably the strength of this team. CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Marquise Brown, Jahan Dotson, Rashid Shaheed. Grade it, Jamie.
A+.
Okay. I had the 4th pick.
You're up, by the way.
Yeah.
Can I pick for you?
Yeah, pick for me.
Okay.
Pick someone bad. I have the 4th pick. I have Kyler Murray at quarterback, David Njoku at tight end, Breece Hall, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Tajay Spears, Raheem Mostert on my bench. And my receivers are Adams, Deebo Samuel, T. Higgins, Quentin Johnston, Xavier Legette, and Jalen Polk. And I think I'll give my team an A-. I think it's solid. I wish there was like a little bit more upside, but I think a lot of good, solid players with high floors.
Dan loves your last pick, by the way.
Ben Sinnott was my last pick. It was Jamie's pick, and Dan's the only pick all draft that Dan complimented. So the one that Jamie took for me. Good stuff. Joey had the 6th pick. He has CJ Stroud, who he took in round 6, 3 picks after Jamie took Joe Burrow. He has Sam Laporta, who he took in round 3. Laporta was the first tight end off the board. Kelsey went 2 picks later. Stroud and Laporta at quarterback and tight end. Running backs are Aaron Jones, who he took in round 5. I think you were the last one to take. No, Jacob was the last one to take a running back. He took Brooks in round 6. Okay, sorry. You have Stroud, Laporta, Aaron Jones, Zeke, Jalen Warren, and Jalen Wright. And you have Jamar Chase, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, Jamison Williams, and Josh Palmer. Grade it.
I'll give myself a B+. My running backs are a little weak. I'll be making some trades to try to upgrade at running back. But as far as my tight end, I mean, I got the number 1 tight end in the league. Happy with my quarterback, and my wide receiver room is really nice. So B+, B+.
All right, Dave, you had the 8th pick.
Correct.
And you have Jordan Love, around 8 pick. Travis Kelce, around 3 picks, second tight end off the board. At running back, you have Kyron Williams, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, Blake Corum, Brian Robinson. Oh, you also have Brock Purdy to go with Jordan Love. And at wide receiver, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Tank Dell, Roman Wilson, and Malachi Corley. Grade it.
I'm going to give myself an A-. I don't love my wide receiver depth, but it's a half PPR league, so I'm kind of okay with that. And I couldn't resist some of the running back values later on.
Okay, of the 5 of us, who is the best team?
Not Adam.
No, I think it's me. I really do. Or I like Dave's team.
Yeah, let's all vote for a team that's not our own team. So
okay, I vote for
Joey's.
Thank you. I'd give mine to Jamie. My vote will go to Jamie. I like his team. And because he invited me today.
Jamie,
the other 3 didn't.
The only chance we have of someone winning is if you pick anyone but Heath.
That's enough of that, Joey. Remember who had you on an FFT show first.
Remember who got you into the industry.
Yeah, Dave. Wow. Dave really. Yeah, Dave wins.
Joey wins. Joey wins. I'm just going to give it to him. There's the applause. Hopefully not too loud. Thank you very much, Joey. I appreciate it, man. Good stuff. Check him out on Football Guys. For Heath and Dave and Jamie and our producer, Nada, I'm Adam. We'll talk to you tomorrow with Beyond the Box Score Rookie Gems. See you then.